Okay, so welcome everybody to another installment of Exploring Consciousness with myself, MG, and the Earth Nouveau team. And today's topic is actually Earth Nouveau, inner Earth, actually inner Earth, not Earth Nouveau, but Earth Nouveau came through our explorations into the inner Earth. And we're going to do a little experiential sort of session today. So we're going to kick it off with a meditation type thing. I'm going to guide you through that. And then from there, we're going to see who wants to come in, who's joining us, and who wants to start channeling them or talk to them and bring them in, and we can ask questions and we'll take it from there. What do you think? Sounds good?
Lovely.
Good. Fantastic.
Sorry, before we start, can I just ask, what's the difference between inner Earth and hollow Earth?
Okay, so yeah, let's do a couple of questions before until everybody's in. So there is no difference; it's the same thing. I sometimes say inner Earth or hollow Earth. It's the same sort of thing. And the way I understood the whole setup is that when Earth decided to all the karmic retributors from all over the universe back onto the planet Earth as the as the seed planet to resolve karma. The idea was to split it into surface and into subsurface because we needed to have our ancestral connections severed or disconnected exactly for that purpose. And now we are going back and trying to start, communicating with them again. And obviously, as you all know, or as some of you know from Andrew's work, is that about more than 10,000 species in inner Earth, in hollow Earth. And, just like on surface Earth, some of them are assholes and some of them are, sages basically, and they're millions of years old and thousands of years old, and they all have different capacities, living between the atoms, and some of them have bodies and some don't have bodies, and all of that. And also the other thing is that all the extinct species that we have lost on surface Earth, they are now all living in subsurface Earth. And this is where the teaching comes in with the yellow box and the DNA trade, obviously, and the DNA programming that we're going through, the monitoring of our DNA on the surface and all of that.
What's the difference between surface and subsurface then?
Well, literally surface, we are on the surface here, above the earth, above the soil, and then subsurface is below the soil. So literally, yeah, so there are three entrances into, there are entrances, there are more than three entrances, there are lots of different entrances into the earth, where you go down underneath, the earth.
The way I understand it, Martina, is that you've got the surface Earth, which is us, and then the subsurface, which is where a lot of the military and whatnot and the controllers of this planet. The subsurface is the area within the Earth where the sunlight still reaches, the energy from the sunlight. Once you get to that point where the sunlight's energy no longer penetrates, then you're in the inner Earth.
Then you're in the inner Earth, and then you can go deeper and deeper and deeper from that. And there's different ways of different species living there, different, they have different amounts of people or beings, whatever you want to call them. And in order to get into it, it's almost like, I do remember him saying at some stage that, as you go into it, you go into a fetus of the womb process where you age according to your soul age. And then in order for them to let you in, they have to run all the different filters and tests and signature frequencies. Are you a match, and can you actually come in, and all that sort of thing. I mean, I'm obviously not completely clued up on how that works. But we can ask him the question at some stage. But that's just the background, So, and let me add to this. So at the beginning of this year, when all this COVID started, we had, as the mentorship guys, we had chats along those lines. What can we do? How can we support, you know, all this timeline, if you wish, what's going on? And we came up, we opened an entity in the inner earth. Okay. So when I say it's an energetic thing, okay, so we didn't crawl down and started building it. So it's an energetic thing. Okay. And since we've started that, we had balls down there, you know, ballroom dance, you know, all sorts of things, just to get to know the species down there and start a connection and find out what's going on and how we can help and they can help us and all that sort of thing, you know. So today what I want to do is I want to take you down there energetically, and then we'll see what you come up with, who you're going to meet there, and then, you know, you're all invited to obviously share that, and we can have conversations, we can ask them questions and things like that. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Martina,
yes.
can we ask everybody to mute their mics, please? Because there's somebody that keeps tapping over the top of you when you're speaking.
Yeah, I hope it's not me, but please do tell me if it is me, then I need to. So for this meditation now, let's do this. I'm going to keep on letting people in the meantime, but for this meditation, so to mute your mics here. And what I'm going to do is, so I'm just going to ask you to obviously sit. Well, yeah, sit is probably the best. Have both of your feet on the floor here. Be nice and comfortable. And then just intend your body into stillness with a couple of breaths. You might just want to take a couple of deep breaths all the way from the tailbone up to the crown. Are we all mute? Are we all muted? I just need to know if it's my mic or anybody else's. So take a couple of deep breaths in and out to get yourself nicely set up. And then slowly, you know, taking you from the beta brainwave pattern, which we're in now, just go and allow yourselves to go into the alpha one, which is a bit more relaxed. There's nothing really to do for you other than just to follow the words and just allow everything to come up for you. And then maybe there's an idea you could look at, and we can't specifically say what dimension is you know, connected to a certain brainwave, but think of it as you go into the alpha brainwave, you're going like, let's say, 4th dimension, 5th dimension. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rave up that energy a little bit and take you into the next level. As you just keep breathing and allow yourself to rave up those energies a little bit, going maybe into sort of a theta, staying in full awareness, just thinking of 5th, 6th, 7th dimension. We can go up into the 8th if you wish. And all what that means is just a level of awareness, the level of openness, expansion, and joy. And in that space, keep breathing. Focus your breath. So as a sovereign active member of the 5th world of peace, which I invite you all to acknowledge that you are, otherwise you wouldn't be here, I would like you to imagine our Peacemakers Lodge situated in Hollow Earth. And you're respectfully invited to take part in one of our ambassador meetings, getting together with our fellow cosmic travelers inside and outside of Roman numeral time and space, for the purpose of meeting some of the subsurface species, ancestors, and to connect to your birthright and legacy as a multidimensional peacekeeper, peacemaker, and celestial teacher of the 5th world of peace. Just breathing into that energy. The Earth Nouveau Embassy is a place of creation. It's a place of peaceful negotiation in non-hierarchy, non-competition, non-duality, where sovereignty and self-mastery is being taught and demonstrated by the members and by the visiting guests. So we kindly request you to join us in building mutual allowance and goodwill for the purpose of cultural wisdom exchange, soul family reunions, a get-together for an on and off-world species to seek peaceful and expansive solutions for living in union and communion and not domination and control. So this is sort of to set the stage why we are here today. Now I invite you to focus onto your crown chakra, just above your head, and imagine a pillar of light, a bright white light beaming down onto your body, energizing, cleansing, clearing, and reminding you and your body of its magnificence, of its tremendous capacities, still hidden or revealed. Your body is the vehicle of experience, and this is not to get out of the body. We're taking our bodies with us on this journey. And as such, it will ground, receive, and translate your superluminal thinking and thoughts as a celestial medium. So allow that pillar of light now to fill your body all the way from the crown to the tailbone, into the vertebrae and in between, into your internal organs, and permit it to connect with your life force energy, to come fully into your vagus nerve and start connecting to all chakras as you feel it coming through, empowering your mitochondrial cells, your telomeres. Get a bit of rejuvenation as we're there already. Imagine the pure breath, imagine pure health, sovereignty, and well-being pulsating through the cells, the blood, the lymphatic system, and the essence of who you truly are. So now as you keep observing this energy frequency building through your body, perceive how your life force is becoming even more activated and nurtured. Feel how it joyfully surges up and down the spine and almost wants to burst its dams in all its joy and blissfulness. Allow that. Drop those barriers of separation and false protection. And mute your mics. Now feel selfly cocooned in this vibration energy, inside out. Allow it to spread and shine. Your physicality, beyond your physicality, supremely nestled in your sovereign bubble of authentic truth and reality. As you feel this strength and potency in your own body now, open yourself up as the hub of interconnectivity that you are to all the other hubs of interconnectivity present in this moment, and allow trickles of energy to go out to your surroundings. Harmonies with those that are of your signature frequency, so that they can benefit too and mutually reciprocate. Relax, breathe, stay conscious and focused onto your personal power center, your solar plexus, just underneath the breastbone. Use your imagination to put your hands onto the solar plexus and then start perceiving the energy of potency, the energy of inner protection through your sovereignty. And then imagine a treasure hiding in that part of your body. What if you could awaken that treasure and materialize it in your hands? What would that look like? Would it be a sparkling gemstone, a bar of gold, a diamond, a heart? Whatever that treasure is for you, see it, feel it, hear it, taste it. Keep it in your hand. Acknowledge its value, its beauty, its contribution to you and to this world. Keep breathing, keep relaxing, keep smiling. I imagine all the people on this call today, all the ones gathered in the Earth Nouveau Embassy, a large group of soul brothers and sisters, like-minded species and friends with bodies and without. Each one of them is holding their inner object of priceless value as you're now gathering around a sacred fireplace. Now, one by one, with great gentleness and great reverence, you walk up to that fireplace and you lay your treasure down around the fire. And then you go back and you take a seat. And you can start doing that now. Fire is a symbol of your compassion, of your reunion, co-creation, and out-creation, burning within each one of your souls and power centers. It is a symbol of the gifts, the capacities that you have inside of yourself, and that you're willing to contribute to the whole of the universal community of humanity to benefit. Your gift may be as large or small as you select. Once you have laid it down, you step back and sit in a circle around that fire. Take a few moments there, just observing the many treasures that are being presented in this collection of this group's contribution. Sense the presence of calm, of peace, of goodwill, of working together towards expansion, freedom, a greater kind of future for all sentient kind. Feel the results of combining your joy and your wealth. Feel the pillar of light continuously energizing you, keeping you in that frequency to match the signature frequency we are working with. What do you imagine that will make a difference for Mother Earth, for the galaxy, for the inner Earth, for the universe? Hold your vision as clearly as you can. And then feel the energy move around the circle of creative, universal consciousness in universal time. Let the energy spiral and spin, moving quickly from one being to another, reminding you to invest yourself with body, mind, heart, and soul into the future of this Nouveau Earth. Now take each other's hands and give thanks to your objects, to yourself, and to every single one in the circle. Come to the Earth Nouveau Embassy today to play and co-create. Give thanks to the fire, witnessing the sacred gathering and contributing its alchemy to the transformation, the transmutation of the old into new beginnings. And then let go of the hands. Stand up and bow to all those powerful celestial teachers. And then walk away from the fire. Say your farewell to the blessed ground, the embassy, the beings that you've met there. And then start adjusting your energy back into time and space. Again, bring your attention back to your body, back to the breath. Taking a couple of deep, long inhalations, few deep exhalations. And then move your intention back to the room that you're in. Whenever you're ready, you can start unmuting your mics. Just be mindful when others speak. Create a noise. We have a noise maker, and I'm not sure if it's me. Coming back. And then let's see who wants to share their experience. Who wants to share somebody they've met there, who wants to have a conversation with them. Tell us about it. Let us join in.
Okay, I'll start, Martina.
Off you go.
That was fabulous, by the way. Really lovely. I really got into the energy, and as you were lifting the, raising the vibration, I could literally feel it in my body. I could feel my body, and I could feel it right going up through my head. But anyway, when I got down into the inner earth and the fire, the beings that I met, and I haven't met these before, I have no idea what they wanted to say to me, but I met mandarins. And the gift that I gave to the fire was a ruby stone.
Okay.
But as in relation to talking to them, I don't know if I got a sense of when you said, what does Mother Earth need at this time? I got a sense very clearly of just a few things. Unity consciousness, as in soul family meetings, sharing the dream, and that empowerment of that, and the way that would affect the earth. I mean, we are kept apart from our soul families. And I just got a sense of that meeting. And when I did, I got goose pimples. And I got a very positive feeling from it. I really got a very positive feeling from that. And I got a feeling that it was happening, and that it was much closer than we think. It's already in motion.
And that's very much in line what we were saying actually yesterday, is because, the earth is fine. The earth is okay. We don't need to go down that line of trying to save the earth, but you very much, just said it's the unity of species. She's ready to now get everyone together again. And that's really the harmonious sort of work we are working with as peacemakers and peacekeepers. So thank you for that. Drains is interesting.
Yes, that was interesting. There was something else that I wanted to share too, and I can't remember it right now. And I had it in my head just a second ago. It's just gone. Oh, that's frustrating.
It will come back. It will come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's blocked me now from actually saying anything else, that I can't remember that though. I just can't remember.
Okay, so let's
that block. That's it.
Yeah. Let go of the block, just to try and uncreate the block and see if it comes back. Yeah.
Okay.
So shall I go for a bit?
Yes.
Yeah, do you go, Maty?
So for me, when we were first assembled, that's kind of when they were communicating. I didn't pick out any individual species, but there was a general consensus that there was quite a lot of disharmony going on in the inner earth. Just general disharmony, just people not sure about how they're going to resolve certain issues. But then, as we went to the fire, and mine was a stone as well. It was a large square sapphire. And then, as we were sat by the fire, it just went to too many degrees of separation, and it just becomes kind of difficult to grab those memories. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but you got kind of like, it's almost like when the cosmic energy was there, then I was out in space and things get a little bit hazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're touching on something that we've learned, that there is a huge turmoil going on there. You know, all these 10,000 plus species fighting each other, you know, for who's supposed, and those guys are like ancient, you know. So maybe you're tired. This is the whole point of having the embassy down there, you know, to actually come there and create almost like a little safe haven, you know, a haven of communion and union where, you know, whoever wants to come in can come in and start working with us a little bit more.
If you imagine like how much zealotry one person can develop over 40 or 50 years, you imagine what an entire race can do over 50,000 years, 100,000 years, you know, it's just kind of, a lot of them have just made up their mind.
Yeah. And I also understand there is ego down there, you know, there's
very much so.
You know, just because you don't have a body doesn't mean you don't have any ego, you know, so there's a lot of that going on too, you know. Good, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
I could share something.
Yes, hi,
So,
how are you?
Hi. I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Good.
So here's what happened. I went to this place called Kripalu, that is a yoga ashram, you know, here, and I went around a fire out in the woods there, and it was photonic light in the center. I didn't have a connection with anyone. It was almost like I was just on the land, except the light went straight down and straight up. And there was a lot of energy coming from down, coming down, and also a lot of energy coming up from the earth. And there, I was holding a diamond. I heard the Zen prayer. You know, what is that? You know, I was playing it in my head. The heart, the prayer about the heart, and then I put it there. We were all holding hands, and then from each one around the circle, it was like the most incredible burst of galactic color coming from each one. It was spectacular. I couldn't, I was incredibly joyous and just made tears come. It was so beautiful. Each person all the way around, this incredible beauty, you know, was so precious. And I feel that's it.
Fantastic.
That was the same experience that I had, Dawn. Exactly the same thing, and I just got taken way back out into many degrees of separation. It was exactly what you just talked about.
That's what happened as well. I went so far out. There was nothing. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think you were doing there when that happened? You know, we were talking about taking your hubs of interconnectivity, bringing your hubs of interconnectivity in and expanding, you know, the whole field. It sounds to me like it was a little bit like that, working with your hubs of interconnectivity and just combining, going to the outside and bringing the light in.
Yes, but it's sorry, please, Dawn.
When I was actually physically in that space many years ago, the idea for us there was to bring negative, the things we were going to let go of and throw in the fire. And this time it was different. It was like bringing a gift, you know, bringing this light and bringing this diamond from within, you know. It's so different. And I remember being there years ago feeling, I didn't quite do this right. I remember feeling, this doesn't feel like it. And this time it really did. It felt like this is it. Cool. We're here now. We were practicing then, but now we're actually here.
So it's almost like using the fire, you know, obviously to burn off, you know, the old and all of that, and then as an alchemist to transmute and bring all the gifts together, you know. So that was the idea with that, bringing, you know, anyone in who wants to.
Oh, so sweet.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very cool. Who else got? Anyone else wants to go?
We just lost Tina. She said
Yeah,
her car was overheating.
Yes, I see that. Her car is overheating. I've remembered what I couldn't remember. And what I've remembered is, I'll just say it because there's nobody else coming in. And if there is, I'll stop. I realized that I had lives in Inner Earth. And I was wondering what I was doing now, living here. And was I finished with that space and time? And the answer to that was no. I'm still working with Inner Earth, even though I'm on the surface. But I have lived there. I know it well. And when you talked about we gave the gift, and then you spoke about having something in our hands. I had a formless, shapeless kind of light in my hands. It was literally no form or shape. It was going right through my fingers as I moved them up and down. It was actually beautiful. It was very empowering. It was really gorgeous. And it wasn't really white light. It was more of a goldy kind of light. And there was a softness to it and a warmth to it. But it's the way it interacted with my hands and my fingers and went all over the place. So I just remember those two bits, and I've shared them now anyway, before I forget them again. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you speak. When you were spoken that, wow. I felt very, very emotional. But I was in neutral pole. Just after the meditation, was tears in my face. The object I have in my hands. Wait a second. Was like, wow. Like a spark, the way I described was like a sparkling water, you know, was in between, was mobile, was in my hands and was sparkling. And when you say an object, I was seeing in, when she described it, it was exactly what I was feeling, you know, the object. And I feel super emotional.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And how cool is that? You know, we're starting, it's almost like in dream space, you know, like, you know, saying, oh, I had this dream and I dreamt that. And somebody else saying, oh, yes, I had that dream too. You know, I was in there too. It's almost like whenever we share and we may find or think it's not significant, it can have such a significance when somebody else resonates with it. And of a sudden it makes so much sense, you know. And what a cool connection. Have you been working, Petruska, with Inner Earth before?
Yes. When I started the journey, that was about 7 years ago. My first connection was with Inner Earth. And was amazing. I did some type of past regression, and it was amazing, the experience. And since then, that I think was 5 years ago, it was the Pandora's box for who I'm becoming now. And it was to learn and acknowledge my connection to Inner Earth. And what I experienced in that was like a traveling in between realms, and was so the feeling, the sensation, I recognize, I was remember it. I couldn't express it with words. That is what I use painting, because in that moment I was so full, I needed to express it, and the only way I could do was with drawings. Because I think the Inner Earth, that connection, it was to the degree of my potency of the real world. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. And also, you know, like Andrew was actually saying yesterday, the art and music. You know, we were talking to this philosopher, this Arcturian philosopher, the art and music is becoming so much more potent, you know, in order to create changes. So keep on drawing and keep on sharing it, you know, get it out there. Fantastic. And also a lot of the coding is coming through, you know, all the codes that we're starting to activate in our DNA. That can be done through the drawing.
Yeah. Also, what I'm learning now with the drawings is like sigils, like words or is messages on it. Because when you draw, you are in the present moment and you are in that realm of really present. And what I decodify in myself with the drawings is like I have the puzzle more clear. After, I'm not conscious when I'm doing it. It's after, when I'm reading it again and again, I start to see things. I put myself there for me to recognize. I think that is why art is so, for me, it's creative art. I will love to be a singer, but I am not. But I think you feel in the same when you sing.
Yes, yeah, just another form of expression, you know, and you might be probably a good singer too.
Doing this live, because I'm working a lot with my throat chakra. I know for a past life I've been really damaged there, and I've been working very, very hard with that, because I know I have I've been always involved with light language. I feel super connected with the light language, and I know is something I have to still working on.
Yes, yes. Well, Maty is very good at light language, and he does a lot of work. I don't know if you've seen his work on Facebook. And
no, I've been working with Andrea Folks for the last 7 years.
Okay.
And it's amazing. We have the similar. I resonate a lot with.
Yes, yes. Oh, fantastic. You see, light language is a form of song anyway. I mean, you can sing light language, isn't it?
Light language is one of the like singing of light language is going to be a huge technology in the future. One of the most, I think I spoke about it before, one of the deepest dreams I've ever had was around about 2013, and me and all of my girls, we all shared the same dream, and it really was just an experience of the future. It literally was just going into the future, into the global dream time, and it was all in the inner earth. And my job, so to speak, was to sing light language, and it's like wherever you go, you know, and it's so different to the song that we have nowadays. You know, it's very different. But these arts will become not only expressions, but they'll become healing. You know, language will be used to teleport people, travel people, songs and light language. I'd like to speak to you privately, Patushka, if we can.
Yes,
there's a couple of things I'd like to talk with you about.
Get together and form little bubbles of reality. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful.
And if you haven't seen the show, Andrew did with Laura and David Rodriguez.
I did, yes.
Yeah, because that's where exactly he did say to David that he was one of those light language singers.
Yes.
Where he was like singing, traveling, you know, all the different places and spaces to sing and bring, you know, I can't remember exactly what he said, but sing everything into creation, that type of stuff. So you meet up on some level, done, tick, another one matched up. Fantastic, well done. Thank you. Good. So what else? What else did you experience? Anyone else who wants to go?
I could come in here, Martina.
Yes, please.
When I was down there, I met up again with my grandfather on my mother's side, who was a big farmer in Scotland.
Okay.
And he was my big hero because when he was old, he couldn't drive the car around the farms. And at the age of 13, 14, you didn't need a driving license, so I could drive him around the farms. And then a number of years ago, I was working in Indonesia in the oil and gas, and our marketing director said, come on now, we'll come around the weekend, meet my wife and the kids, because we've got a barbecue on. So I went round on the Saturday and Sunday, wherever it was, and the marketing director's wife, as soon as I met her, I got a zoom. It wasn't a kind of sexual thing. It was just like, and anyway, there was around the pool, and when it got dark, there was a barbecue, and they were telling stories. And after a while, the wife said to me, Norman, you've got to tell a story. So I told the story when I met Dr. Death. And I met Dr. Death when I was a young chartered accountant. I was at Hammersmith Station, and I had a briefcase full of very important documents. And the briefcase opened, and all the papers went onto the line. And being a very fit rugby player at that stage, I jumped down onto the line and took all the papers and put them onto the platform. And as I looked round, this tube, this underground, was coming straight at me. And because I was fit and young, I jumped back onto the platform, and I was okay. And one of the underground staff came up to me and said, that's how you get killed, which is quite right. Immediately, the marketing director's wife said, the reason why you were saved was because of your grandfather on your mother's side. I can see him now, a big farmer, big lands, going down to the sea, which was exactly that. And I suppose I've always had a connection with my grandfather rather than anyone else. And he was down there today, still farming away. And I had to give him a bottle of whiskey because he loved his whiskey. So he got that. And funnily enough, that marketing lady, she also said to me, you're not a big company, man. You'll work for yourself. So I think about 2 years after that event, I actually started working for myself, and that was 30 years ago. So
Wow.
that was quite an experience for me. And he was down there today, my grandfather.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well done. And did you guys have any, you know, when we asked the question, how can we get together and help each other, contribute to each other? Did something come up there? There was a question, I think, in it.
It was unusual for me, actually, Martin. I didn't really get much conversation. Usually I chat away to everybody, you know what I'm like, but I was just sucked away, and that part was just, I don't know, just showing what was going on, really. It was,
well, as you know, Matt, it's not about talking all the time. We went down to connect, okay? And from what I hear from lots what Dawn said and Petruska said, and you said, you know, it was all that first initial, okay, letting all to get us all together down there, and
yes.
So maybe it was more like a sentient thing, a feeling thing to kick it off, and then, you know, all the conversations will pop in overnight while you're
it was a ritual or a ceremony, absolutely, because there was people next to me, and the guy next to me was not human like us, but you know, but no one was really speaking. It was just, I think, whatever happened that needed to happen happened, and I could see that on a cosmic level. Yeah. And also I got, but who the hell are those guys? You know, what is going on? You know, it's like, hey, yeah, bring the hubs in. We're going to expand it all out a little bit, you know. Yeah. We've been working with them now without, you know, bringing much of our mates in, you know. So it's a thing to know. And as I said earlier on, they're not taking anyone on just like that, because it's almost like they need to really check on your signature frequencies, you know. Are you really okay with going in there?
Sure, sure.
And something that Andrew said is that we all have to have an ancestor in the inner earth to be here.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, he did say that, yeah.
You know, it did feel like Maty was saying, that it was just such a combination of a powerful, just incredibly beautiful harmony between all of us. And when you said it's time to leave, I felt I can't. I don't think I can leave. This is too wonderful.
Oh,
it's felt so beautiful, and the harmony of all of us, you know, with all the beings. It just felt Just really powerful and beautiful. Like
Have to
we
make sure
were
we have
actually
to-
doing something with that in that
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
That's really cool, because I mean that's what we set it up for. We set it up in that type of energy, you know. And now you've been there, you can always go back there. It's the embassy, it's our Earth Nouveau embassy, and you can just play with them and see what's happening. And obviously, you know, we're all honoring, we're all spiritual hygiene applies, we all know that. So we're not taking any riffraff down there. That's just not how we work, you know, because we honor them as much as we honor our own. And we're quite potent on that level, you know. So, and quite firm. Yeah. Good. Anyone else? And it doesn't matter what it was, even if it was crap for you guys, you can say that too.
There was a Christy there who said their microphone's not working. Christy,
Oh, my mouth is not working for some
can
reason.
you unmute?
Did you try? Oh, I don't know what that is. Unmute.
Headset. I think maybe she needs a headset.
Yeah,
to
it's
put-
headset. It was me. I was just saying, did you try the headset? You know, if you put in ear, it might work. I have tried. Okay, I've tried to unmute. Okay.
I'm trying to unmute you and I can't unmute. Ah, you're unmuted. Can you hear us, Christy? Can you speak? You are unmuted now. Check it out.
Maybe sometimes it works if she goes out and come back, you know.
Yeah, try that. And I'll get you back in. Good. Kins, how was that for you?
Yeah, it was very, very peaceful. At first I was a little bit jittery, and then it was very peaceful. In terms of the energy, it was moving more into rainbows with me. I had like a shell crystal in my hand, which I associate a lot with joy. I could see that there were different species in the gathering. Didn't really recognize. Some of them were like little animals, sort of legless little animals. So it felt that it was a very much interspecies. And in terms of what we were sharing, it really did just feel like, well, not just, but bringing in that energy of peace and neutrality felt really important in it. Yes, I was just allowing any codes and any information I had that might be useful to be shared in that space, and it just felt really peaceful.
Cool.
I didn't have any discussions or anything.
No, fantastic. And the rainbow you're talking about also hand in hand with what Dawn said and what Maty said, you know, all the colors they had and brought in and all
Actually, I just remembered after we'd done the ritual around the fire, when I moved back from the fire, it was like the whole space was filled with light formations. And it was almost like, so difficult to explain, but almost like a Meccano set. It was like almost like a network of machinery in light that was working on top of the fire. Thought it was like a portal, but it was sort of like the harmonic contribution of those who were in that frequency. I think that's what it felt. And
Yeah, I saw that too.
did you?
fantastic. You what this all the stuff you can see. I can't see shit, you know. So I'm so grateful for you to say these things. I'm like, I can perceive so much. No, it's like, okay, so nice. Fantastic. thank you. But I have to say, I'm a car booter, so I went to the car booter on Sunday, and I found a board, a very old wooden board, which was painted on in all the different rainbow colors. And it said in the back, it's a piece of art, which was done by somebody called Sam for somebody called Emily. And it said in the background, it said, Jupiter, the rain bringer. And I found it this weekend, and this was all about Jupiter now. And then you come in with all these rainbows. So this is what I do. I find things that bring me joy. And then I have no idea why the hell did I just find this weird board, which is now standing in my toilet because I got no other space for it. And now you coming in with all these rainbow colors. So you see, this is how we all work together. Different weird ways.
Dream space made real.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic. So, Christy, do you want to try it? Okay, it doesn't seem to work, darling, because you don't even have a thingy next to your camera. So you don't seem to have, you're not connected with your microphone. Unfortunately, let's see if we can somehow sort this for next time, huh? But if you want to say anything in the chat, you can do it there maybe, and we will read it out. I added rainbow to my space when you said white lights. Ah, okay, yeah. It's definitely something about this rainbow. So I knew already on Sunday. Hey, I knew on Sunday we're going to talk about rainbows on Wednesday. You see? Fabulous. Cool. Anyone else who wants to say something? I really love that we all went for the harmony, the union, the communion, and the getting, the just peace. Because, okay, so let me ask you a question. What is this peace? What does peacemaker and peacekeeper actually mean to you personally?
For me, it's reevaluating the way that I am to the point that I have a moral code that I stick to. But it also seems to me now that it's a set of choice points that you make ahead of time that you adhere to that are going to be needed in the future. There's a sort of futuristic connotation to it, isn't there? Do you agree?
Yeah, for me, it also goes multi-dimensional and where we're heading towards. It's for me, it's almost the work I have to do in this particular matrix is to get out of the matrix, not to buy into it, not to buy into Roman numeral time and everything. That doesn't mean that, I'm not living here and I'm fully in my body, but I do no longer try to, engage and entangle with all the old here. And it sometimes feels to me like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with this now? What else is there for me to do? And this is where the real true peacemaker, peacekeeper comes in, is where, we're talking about the Arcturians yesterday in the show, and for them, us finding that forgiveness for what happened on this planet and for us to come into our peace and everything, for them, that gives them an opportunity to come and join us. Mm-hmm. That for me is part of the peacemaker, that I can make at least my personal contribution for us in 2053. I might be a bit old by then, but hey, who cares? Walking down the street with my Arcturian mate, and stuff like that. And for them to find their loved ones that are stuck here and they can't come in because of the shadow of the contrast and polarity. That's me. That's proper peacemaking, Yeah.
And the peacemaker and peacekeeper, you see, a peacemaker would be somebody who, in any given situation, you're able to come and create peace, whereas a peacekeeper could be required to be a badass, Oh,
yeah.
There's a whole different sides to it. It just that peace should be, your main prerogative. within yourself, and then you get to express it because you practice it enough in yourself to the outer world.
Oh, totally. You know, for me, that applies to both peacemaker, peacekeeper, you know, but this is what the unlimited point of view is for me. Unlimited point of view doesn't mean that you don't curse, you don't step it up, and you don't have to really, you know, show your potent beingness when it is required. It means that you have to be whatever it takes in that particular moment. And if you have to be a badass in that moment in order to create the change, then that you have to allow yourself to be that too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, for me, is to be neutral. Integrity is a mass in this, and is holding a space. A simple thing, which is not simple at all, is holding the space wherever you go. At the moment, I'm in London, okay? And I know every time I go out, I feel the energies. Everything is going crazy. And the only thing I'm all the time doing is holding my space for me and for everybody around me.
Yes. And sometimes, you know, neutrality, as we know, does not create. It holds the space, so it creates on that level. But sometimes, and I'm not saying you need to go into complete duality, but you need to make choices. And this is the difference. You know, we're no longer, as we talked about before, we're no longer creating from contrast and polarity, but from choice. And that's a very different energy. It's a very different energy. Yes. So I just want to say what Christy has said in case, so I will check in my headset. Fantastic. I was met by a lot of sparks of light, all different colors. Here we go, color theme. Many, perhaps at least 12. Is a very specific, 12 is cool. It's a number of completion. And my gift was golden light. We had the golden light before, of forgiveness, gratitude, and love. So thank you very much for contributing that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Good. So where else do we want to take this? Does anyone have a question?
I have a species with me.
Go.
So these guys, they're like the best way to describe them is like mothmen. So they're like half bat, half moth in their appearance. So they look like a moth, but they hang upside down like a bat.
Wow.
These are big dreaming beings. They do a lot of work in the dream world. They live in the inner earth, and they have like a tree that they live on, and then they hang on. And then as you approach the tree and you approach them as they're hanging, then they have their own bubble of reality, which would be like a small little house or something like that. And their main, what they're just saying to us is they're just reiterating the importance of ceremonial offerings, specifically to ancestral offerings, connected with the ancestors. That's quite basic, I know, but it just seems to be something that they're pressing.
No, it's very cool because it confirms what we've done, because our offerings, our objects around the fire, you know, it's an appreciation around that. So thank you.
And I think a lot of us in our ceremonies, we don't really bring the inner earth beings into our ceremonies a lot, do we? You know, it's not one of the regular connections that we do. And I think these guys would really like that connection.
Oh, I love that you say that, because I've always felt that too. And there is not much actually out there on inner earth, you know, channelings, if you wish, or, you know, and what is out there is very much lovey-dovey and minty, and everything is cool down there, and everybody's happy and living in blissful, you know, ness, which is actually not the case. And that's interesting, because I went to Bosnia last year in May, I think. Jill, May. Anyway, so I went to Bosnia, and we had, I went to the pyramids in Bosnia, and we were connecting to all different species down there. And it was a lot. I did it with the lovely Judy Sartori. She is, do you know her, Matt?
Yes, she's when I first started speaking light language, she was one of the first guys around that was doing it.
Yeah. So I've done, and Jill has done. We've done a lot of work with her. You know, just not. Yeah, that was the first time I actually literally had met her, and she's just beautiful. And she comes in with very much the beautiful, you know, version of it. which obviously has its place too. And I do remember we were doing one evening and there was a lot of light language channeling and stuff like that. And for me, what really came through was the earth, the inner earth energy from the place of, guys, we need you, we need to work together in a way, or whoever, you know, reaching out basically, which was very different to what the others perceived. And I do remember standing on stage and, you know, talking to Judy and tears streaming down my face, and I was shaking like this, and she didn't even know what to do with that because it was such a strong reaction. Cut me out of the video after that too, because it was just too wacky. And I remember walking back and I was shaking like that, you know, but being in those pyramids just connected me so strongly to that energy. So yeah, I think what you're saying is absolutely true. So how can we actually work with them more? And to add to that, what Andrew said yesterday to me, don't get lost there. Okay, you don't want to get lost, but it's the same for everything. You don't want to get lost working with the astral community or with any particular group and just forget everything else around you, you know?
That's right. That's right. This, I think, you know, it's just common courtesy to make offerings. It's just like saying, hi, how you doing here? Here's a card, you know?
Exactly. Whatever prayers you do, whatever work, rituals you do, just add them.
So do you want to make a manifestation, Martina? Should we do some light language?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Inner Earth, do you want to kick us off?
No, you start. But you tell us what you're talking, what type of manifestation. So let's give a bit of context for it. And then we're all going to go. You're going to kick us off. And then whoever feels like it, okay, is going to join. We're going to do a accumulation. And Maty's going to lead us into it. And the context of this is what? Is a little bit what we've just done with our meditation here, to invite them in, to say we're here, we're not intrusive, we are sovereign beings, and what can we do together? How can we contribute to each other? Is there anything else to add to that, context-wise?
Not really, not really. I'm at the moment, I'm not very good at translation, because sometimes I think there's too much information to translate off the cuff at the moment. You know, you have to be so a genius like Andrew. What happens is, because there's quite a lot of beings, I can feel there's quite a lot of people here that want to get their point across. So when it goes into these high frequencies, maybe even if it's just like 30 seconds of actual light language, that could be volumes of information, volumes and volumes of information. So, okay, let's do it. So I don't step on anybody's journey. This is a signature frequency match for every being that listens to it. So.
Ina tatakaota itata esa na lala oki. O ina tatakae ela ita sabao to kona tatai ena eta ona ia katana te toa inese sakaito la koa.
Beautiful. Chabokuyen. Shalikatakash. Menduko orduko ushk alienten. Artike pitekeshkelia, repetiko unkoko ukhrutkokokchkitekemete kutukushkaliente. Artata chiteke betoko unkoko ushkuin. Armamachkoliehe.
Don't be shy, guys. Unmute. Let it flow.
I wish I could understand it properly off the cuff like that. It takes me so long to translate any bits and bobs and have to listen to it, you know, but there's so, you can hear the amount of information that's being unpacked there, you know. Beautiful.
Fantastic. Come on,
just shows you the skill of Andrew. Amazing. Are there any other light language speakers here?
And if you've never done it before, do it now. This is your opportunity. Come on, let it go. Just let it out. It doesn't matter what it sounds like.
Ich mag hier Kirche mag hier Brada ich kann da können hören Isn't he happy who she shot? He should put her who he
Wow.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Great.
Au compte du point peut la loi confie la au la plutôt tout mais tout rien en la lingua to amenino il a co la lida ida o conia. That's it.
Well done, Dawn.
Oh,
I have goosebumps. That means something, right?
that's very cool. Very powerful.
You unpacked it. You unpacked it.
Very powerful.
Oh, by the way, this is not vodka that I'm drinking, guys, just in case it's a vodka bottle filled with water.
Now we know why our manifesting.
Swigging.
Who cares after all this Latin language, you know?
Yes.
Oh, so good. Loving it. Fantastic. Oh, thanks for that. That was
One
really
day we'll be able to go back and look and see what we said.
Yeah. And you know what? There are certain things that are not so important to me. I don't actually care what I said. It's just like the energy of it, you know. It's like, oh, and sometimes I can't even say it in words. I have to use light language, you know.
Yes.
My light language is always different depending on what I'm expressing. Yours is very much, it sounds a bit like there's a bit of insectoid. Often when I hear insectoid language, I hear a lot of that type.
Yeah, there's the more insectoid languages, there's some very ancient beings as well, and it's a lot of clicks, pops, and ticks.
Yeah.
But what people don't appreciate is that the breath work involved as well. Once you tune the breath in, inhalations and exhalations also play a part in the actual language itself. And sometimes there are clicks and pops and movements of the tongue that I can't even do in English. But yet when I'm speaking light language, the tongue moves all around the roof of the mouth, making different noises from all different places. Sometimes we'll get two tones that come out at once. It's incredible.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And would you say it's practice? It's just practice, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
And the more you allow yourself to just come out. I remember the first time I spoke it. Oh, Sue, I think you were with me at the time. The first time I allowed myself to speak, Sue and I, we were at a sweat lodge, remember? And we're sitting inside around that little stone, and bloody hell, it was hot. And I'm like, shit. And there's so much going on there, you know, and so much shadow work, so much polarity hanging about. And we all had to say something about, I don't know which round it was. And I could not say anything other than, wow, what came out. Remember? And everybody was like, who the fuck is she?
Yeah.
After that, nobody spoke to me other than Sue. And Sue said, very cool, very cool. And I was like, okay.
First time for me was I was working doing farming, and I'd listened to people speaking light language over the internet. It was been about 2013, and it really piqued my interest. And then one day, as I was working, I started to be able to speak a little bit, but it got quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker to the point where it was exhausting. But I think I must have had about 2.5 hours of constant stream, and
Wow.
And then that was the amount of information that must have been in that, because it was the really quick, you know, it was really sort of quick and fast paced.
Yeah.
That was a big sort of woof for me. And then after
Yeah.
that, then the individual languages started to you know, present themselves. And sometimes you speak in light language, you think you're speaking one language, you're actually speaking 20, 30, 40 different languages, you know, sometimes many people.
So if anyone is interested in learning it a little bit from a more structured way, Judy Sartori is somebody I can recommend. She's beautiful, and she's got lots of, I think I did buy some CDs at the time, or DVDs, but I'm sure she's all converted that now. And then also I do remember I did Andrews, he's got a light language teaching on his website too, if you want to go. And otherwise, a good way of practicing is my book. What I've done with my book, I've got different chapters which are not that long. So I actually translated my book into light language, you know, just like what came up for me. And I never released that version.
That's one for the future.
It wasn't the time, you know.
Not yet.
Not yet. But it was really cool doing it for myself, you know. And really often, you know, let's say you do a bit of goal setting, or, you know, whatever you do, and you want to express it in a different way. You know what you want to say, and you do it in a light language. And then you just listen to the light language, you know. So you don't get attached to the outcome, you know, but you still got the energy coming in, you know. So Christy is saying light language is very similar to speaking in tongues. Charismatic Christian experience I had at the United Pentecostal Church. Light language translation, love it. Yeah. It's powerful, it's good. And it's another tool in the toolbox, you know. If you want to freak somebody out, like, you know, at the dinner party who pisses you off, just speak light language.
You know, I used to do Martina when I was being naughty, because I have much more of an ethical code now. You know,
you're not naughty. Come on.
When I was being naughty, what I used to do was we'd be on a packed train, and I'd pretend to be foreign. So I'd answer my phone, make it ring, and then speak to the whole train in light language.
Oh, you're so funny. You're so funny.
So naughty.
I think when I was a kid, that my sister and I spoke this way to each other.
Yes.
We made up, and we just spoke like this.
Yes.
And we seemed to understand each other.
Yes.
We used to do that here because I have Irish, and Andrew said Irish is light language. And sometimes when I'd be abroad, we used to speak Irish to each other if we didn't want people to hear what we were saying. I'll give you a few sentences of Irish.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Maire Ni Ghoilin is anam dom, tá áthas an bhean ar an bheith an seo inniu, tá an crenú seo go hanawa, agus tá ansim agam in an rud seo. Ceapam go bhfuil na daoine seo go hionthach. Tá siad ag smuoinú ar gachrod, agus tá lán ólas acu ar an rud atá á rá acu. Gur a maithe go léir agus bheith mé an seo arís an teachtain seo thugainn.
That's gorgeous.
It's
beautiful. Light language.
Wow.
And you know wow.
Okay.
And you know what it means.
I'll tell you what I was saying, if you like. I gave my name in Irish. And then I said I was absolutely delighted to be here, and that I come here to meet you every week, and that I love the people who are on our show, and they have an awful lot of knowledge and wisdom to share, and that I'm learning an awful lot from all of you. And I consider myself privileged to be in this group. And thank you, and I'll see you again next week.
Oh my God, so nice.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, it's only used in Ireland now, actually. It's not spoken anywhere in the world. It's only spoken on the west coast of Ireland. We have Gaeltacht areas where you can go to learn the language. But it's not spoken anywhere else, which is amazing. Now, I know the Welsh have got a Celtic language, and I think Scotland has as well. I think they have.
Yeah, that's just quite rare. There's a lovely lady called Julie Fowlis who sings in the original Scottish Gaelic. She's the one who did the music for Brave. It's very, very beautiful. Look her up. Julie Fowlis, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Lovely.
Those languages are so beautiful.
Yes.
The Welsh is a strange language. It's an insane, crazy language.
Yes, it is. It's a really ancient, really ancient language. Yeah.
That's gorgeous. Did you learn at school?
I did. I'm like a fluent Irish speaker. So we went in our primary school, we all had to speak Irish. And then when we went to secondary school, we just had it as a subject. But we learned everything in primary, we learned through Irish. So it's just what you get used to. It wasn't difficult at all. We just liked it. And we have Irish songs and Irish poetry, and they're lovely too. There's a lovely kind of a musical flow, I think, to the language. It's very soft. Would you think that?
Yes, because when you spoke, you could tell how soft she went into the soft feminine space when you
Okay.
was.
Okay.
Absolutely. And you're a singer too. So do you do some of your singing in Irish? Yes.
Well, we learned Irish songs at school, but I don't sing I don't do it now in my choirs. It's all English songs, you know, but I do have some old Irish songs that we learned at school, and, you know, they're fun, really. Yeah.
Maybe that's something to introduce to your choir and say, hey, why don't we do a couple of those?
You know, the choir went to America. Yeah, they were going to go to America just before COVID, and they were going to sing some of their Irish songs in different places in America. And the Americans were absolutely dying to hear them. They were booked out. Yeah, but it was cancelled because of COVID, so that never happened. But a lot of the choir had to learn the songs for the first time, and they were kind of, you know, annoyed that they had to learn them. But, you know, all of us that went to the schools where they were taught, we just knew them. But again, it's like it's like the speaking Irish. They're very soft and kind of flowy, and, you know, it's like the poetry as well. There was a poem about Killaidon, and Killaidon is a place where the dreamer used to think about, and he used to say, "Anish chaptanari ve an laudol kunshinu is treresh na fele vrija or doi me mahiol o corme mohiane near stopi me chiha go shasi me shi silor gondwi o." And what that means is the spring is coming. Beautiful. And the days are getting longer, and I can't wait to put up my sail. And since I've had the thought, I'm going to Kilchama, and I'm going to, if that's a place that's near me here, and Cundaweo is County Mayo, that's where I live in Ireland. So I'm over on the west coast. You'll see it on the map there if anyone looks it up.
How beautiful.
Yeah, it's lovely. We used to love it at school. We did like it, and we liked doing the singing as well, you know, because it was always more fun. And it was always just that we had our own language, I suppose. We could even do it at home, and our parents wouldn't know what we were saying.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Magical language.
Have you had any inner earth dreams, Mary?
Sorry?
Have you had any inner earth dreams?
Yes, I think actually that I have quite a connection to the inner earth, to be honest, Maty. I do. I when I went into that meditation, the messages that I was getting from the fire, and the mandarins were coming out of the fire, was that I hadn't left. I was just living on the surface, but I'm very connected, and I'm very involved with what they're doing there as well. Yeah.
Because there is entrances in Ireland, isn't there?
There's entrances in Ireland, yes. I'm not sure where they are. There's entrances in a few places all over the world, and there's entrances, of course, at the Antarctic. But it's a place that it fascinates me in an awful lot of ways. I feel connected is the best way I think I can put it, really.
Yeah.
But I have had inner earth dreams, and dreams of under the sea. I've dreamt of being under the sea, going way, way down and going under the sea. But I never knew what they were. I never knew now what those dreams were when I was a child. It's only when I learned about the inner earth that I discovered, oh, that's what they were. Because it takes a while sometimes to put the jigsaw pieces together, you know.
Because the mermaids would be considered almost a part of the subsurface earth, I would imagine.
Yes, and I have a huge connection with them.
Yes.
I did a plant medicine called iboga, and it's an extremely powerful hallucinogenic experience, a dark experience, really. But the first thing that came to me was a mermaid, and I'd never ever considered them before. But it was just like looking straight like that, just amazing.
I
And I'd never
know.
considered them merfolk. I imagine that people still see them around Ireland.
I'd imagine they do. I haven't, but I'm totally fascinated by them. You know, when I started learning about them at school, and when I started learning about their lives, and when Andrew talked about them, and he talked about them at length at one stage. Oh gosh, I definitely had a life as a mermaid, at least one.
Yeah, beautiful.
Remember when we had our Inner Earth Ball, we had Laura come in as
That's right.
in
Yeah.
her mermaid outfit. And I was just, as you're talking about mermaids, I was just realizing that, you know, the walk-in that walked in
Yes.
came from this merfolk. So that's
Oh,
the connection must be the walk-in that walked into me walked out of a merfolk. Remember when we did that session?
yes, I do.
So that's quite interesting.
Well,
That
the
is.
original
Oh, I'm
soul
getting
that was,
goose pimples now as you say that. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
It's obviously true. Like, I mean, that is, you're hitting on
Yeah, I
truth.
never paid attention to that a lot. But yes, Maty, we were talking, I was on a hot seat and Andrew asked me the question because my walk in and a walk out, you know, I had a walk in, obviously, you know, that type of thing. And the question was, where did the walk in come from? Where did it walk in from?
yes.
And I got, it was some merfolk deep down in the ocean. I was some warrior chick there. And obviously that's what walked into me.
That's who you are now.
Yes.
Wow.
Obviously taken over all the contracts and everything from the existing, you know, DNA instrument and everything. And then it took some time for my initial soul to walk out. So there was a limit, for quite a few years, which was quite difficult.
So did you have an NDE or anything like that?
Do you know what? I cannot pinpoint it. I didn't have no, and I didn't have an accident that I can think of. I only figured it out. I only realized it. I was in an access consciousness class 2000, I don't know, but no, 15 years ago maybe, I can't remember exactly. And there was a lady, she was at the mic and she was talking about walk-in, you know, and they established she was a walk-in. I sat in the audience and my tears were streaming. I think, what the fuck's going on here? And I walked up to Gary Douglas after and said, I think I'm a walk-in. And
Really?
yes, and I said, well, I'm a walk-in. What is it? And then I started looking into that a little bit. And he said, now from now on, your life's going to be, you know, and I said, okay. And then I left it at that, you know, okay, you're walking to whatever, you know, that type of thing. That's how I work. And then I'm obviously meeting Andrew. I asked him the question in my first meeting, and then he confirmed it that I was. And he said to me that it happened during puberty, but to be honest, I couldn't pinpoint it. But
it's a very interesting prospect. I wonder because you know, when we sit and we have these conversations, to us it just seems like we're sitting here having a conversation, but I'm sure all of you can feel your crown chakras and feel what's going on there. You know, there's so much more going on.
Yeah.
I wonder who we all represent. You know, we must all be representing different people, different collectives.
And I actually want to say something to that, and thanks for bringing this up, because it is so natural to us to have a conversation like that. You're not even feeling wacky or weird or, okay, well, so I'm walking, or, you know, I'm doing light language, la, la, la. You know, this is something to acknowledge.
I know.
It's not something to just say, you know, don't, this is big shit in a way, you know, to acknowledge. And the more we acknowledge these things, the more we can step into our potency and accept those gifts that we've come here for. And so often we're seeking, you know, outside of ourselves, you know, oh, I want to see entities, yeah. Well, I don't need to see them because, you know, I am the entity speaking through me. Like, it's so weird.
It is.
You're doing this where you're making yourself less than, you know, you truly actually are. can we just destroy and uncreate all that and let that shit go?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
the worst is to compare yourself. Don't ever compare yourself to anyone, to anything and anyone.
You know, I've been going through some similar stuff, Martina, you know, just recently. It's an accelerated period right now, isn't it? It's time for all of those shadow aspects to be worked through. You know, I was going through exactly the same thing, and I was sat at the fire a while ago, and I was communicating with a group of galactics that I talk to quite frequently, and we had a very deep conversation, and you know, the kinds that put their heads up on the back of your neck, you know, and they said to me, right, from this moment forward, remember who you are right now, in this moment, how you feel. Never feel that you are less than this man right now. And that was their wisdom. And it really struck a chord with me. So if ever I do start that process where I start to belittle myself, or you know, a little bit unworthiness, whatever, always remember some of those moments where I'm like, wow, look at this, man. You know, it's completely unique. There's not that many people doing it around the world, not to the level that us guys are. And that's not me being my own back, you know. It's just, you know.
No, it's acknowledging it.
It's got the right teacher as well, you know. We found the right teacher, that's for sure.
And let me add to that. I did another walk this morning. I went through the park, and again, you know, the deer, you know, they're my mates. They always speak to me. And there was this one huge one, because they're all having their antlers nicely grown now, and it's all nice and looks fluffy and soft, but they're getting quite big. And there was this big shot, and amongst all the others, with the little ones, they didn't have big ones yet, you know. And I'm thinking, oh, you're such a poser, you know. And they shouted back at me and said, no, we all need leaders. We like him to be the leader. It's okay. And it was an invitation. We are all leaders. Not just because he's bigger than us. It's okay. Step into your leadership. And it was like, okay, thank you very much. That time, being the leader for your own life.
Exactly.
You don't have to lead anyone. But as soon as you have like a judgment, oh, you a little poser there, you think you're better because you're bloody horse, whatever you call it, your antlers are bigger. Hello? This is what takes us out of possibilities when we go into judgment.
Yeah.
And it's unusual because, you see, initially, I don't know if everyone else experienced this, but you know, when you have your first sort of awaken and you just jump at everything, and you know, you think you're bloody Gandhi, and you know, and you just want to love and light the hell out of everything, and then you have to learn to rein it in and grow up. But then you know, there comes a point where you also have to then say, right, now I have to acknowledge my greatness. You have to acknowledge the things that you do. You know, there's a big difference between just being haphazard, crazy into everything, and actually acknowledging the progress that you've made. And it's super, super important to acknowledge the progress that you've made. You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Absolutely, Maty. We were talking about that.
And you know, the interesting thing is, as soon as you acknowledge it for yourself, that need to do the love and light and the spreading it out and the sharing it actually disappears, because you reach a level of awareness where you know that you're hurting yourself more if you're pushing it out there and people can't receive it.
Yes, that's true. And I think when you acknowledge it for yourself, that you allow, or you allow the unfolding of that power to be available to yourself, whereas you're actually putting energy into suppressing it when you're not. And so it's taking energy to not acknowledge it, and you're not benefiting from it. But when you do acknowledge it, there's an ease at which it can come in, isn't there, to yourself, and just be available to yourself.
Yeah. That acknowledgement is huge.
It's huge.
Especially for people, especially, we were talking the other day, Mary, saying that, and again, this is coming from a place of total neutral perspective. When you're good at most things, and I know there's a lot of people on this call, they are the same. They're just good at everything. Whatever presented with, okay, I can do this. You know, something slightly better, something slightly less good, but they will do it just because they can. Okay? That doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing. If you're good at everything, you have to learn to say no. This is just because you're good at it, just because you can do it, doesn't mean that you have to do it.
Yes.
Bruce Lee said that you should practice one punch 1,000 times rather than 1,000 punches once.
Yes,
Okay.
Muy buenas.
Here you go. Yeah. And really allowing you to say, look, and this is that cool tool from Access, was it light and heavy? Okay. Just because I can do this doesn't mean I have to do it. Is it light? Does it feel light or does it feel heavy if I do this? And you know what? Allow you, as soon as something feels heavy, don't do it.
Yes.
Don't do it. And that doesn't mean that you are getting your way out of it. It's just like, it might be a situation where now is not the time. Maybe I need to do it tomorrow. If it feels like tomorrow, then I'll do it tomorrow. It's like I always do it with the taxes. You know, if I have to do taxes, everything feels heavy around taxes, you know? It's like, okay, see, today is not the time. So tomorrow, is it? And at some stage, it says, now you're okay, now you do it. So that's choice. That's not
Oh, I'm a great believer in that.
Yeah.
I'm a great believer in that, Martina, because I could never do anything unless I was motivated to do it. And when I'm motivated, I can do an awful lot of, I can throw out paintings, you know, every 10 minutes. I can just, when I go with that energy. And I think that it is about that. And I know that, you know, there are times we have to do things that we mightn't be motivated for because that's the reality of the world we live in. But insofar as we can, I think it's good to try and evaluate it the way you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one more thing that comes up for me, is that energy where you are getting so motivated, talk about motivation, when you do for others. Okay? Which is a lovely thing, and we're all here to contribute to each other. But the question is, when you overdo it, doing for others, because you're really getting joy out of that, the question is, can you also do it for yourself? Can you get the same joy doing for others? Can you do the same for yourself when nobody sees you, when nobody hears you, when you're not the teacher, you're just contributing to yourself? If you can have the same sense of enthusiasm and joy and blissfulness for that, then you have a balance going.
You know, Martina, when you put in the, I think in the vagus nerve and the revocation we did last week on abuse, and you had a space for a name, and I started entering my complete name in there. And when I listen back and when I speak it, it's almost a shock to my body. I almost think, oh, can somebody hear that? Yeah, I can. I'm listening.
Yeah.
I just heard it. It was me I'm talking about. It's so powerful to put my own name in there, you know? It just feels like the spark of a match, you know, striking. It feels so strong.
Because the spiritual community has taught us to disregard our past, to disregard the world that we're in, you know, but that's not the truth. That was an extremely empowering thing for me as well, when I finally just brought my full name, who I am, this man, not my past, not my future, not anybody else, this man, you know. I found it incredibly empowering, because the light worker community has a real sense of shame towards the world that we live in and the narrative, you know, at large. This is what we came for. This is what we're here for, to be the people that we are right now, nobody else.
And it goes with the teaching of stepping into your I am apex presence.
Yes.
You are with this body that you have chosen, with this name that you have chosen. This is the I am apex present that calls the shots, you know, that brings all the other shots. You are the avatar, and the avatar has a name in this game. And this is why it is so important to voice it. And I hear exactly what you're saying, guys. It was the same, because for me, it's, you can call me anything, whatever. You know, and it still doesn't bother me when somebody calls me something as Grubmüller, when you know, Andrew Grubmüller, I don't care, you know, whatever, that it does, because I have now integrated that for myself, you know. This is my name, and I'm kind of proud of it now, not in a way of possession or, you know, no, it's this is what I've chosen, so that's it. So yeah,
it would be utterly disrespectful to the self to not claim it, wouldn't it? Just disrespect.
Yes, but we've been so conditioned not to, you know. It's so hard. I was talking to you, Martina, and I was talking to a friend actually today on the same subject, and you know, about acknowledging the way that we can be strong and stand in the gaps for people. But now the learning is to come out of the gap. I almost have to be pulled out of some of them because I've been in them for so long, and I just nearly, I've identified with them. And it's really difficult to come out of that position, but it's really empowering when you do.
Yeah.
Especially in Ireland, Mary, because there's a real, the Catholic religion, it's all about shame, isn't it?
It's all about shame, blame and guilt. And it's all about do it for everybody else. To God, to care what you think of doing anything for yourself. My God, that would be so selfish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the tool. Send it back. Send it back to sender. Send it back to sender. Send it back to the sender.
Yeah.
Never return.
I was just talking to somebody about a group of people about leaving the school actually the other night, and they were saying, are you going to do it, or what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm not sure yet. And they said, well, you can't leave now because you're really needed there, aren't you, for the next 2 months, and you really couldn't let people down, and you can't let people be stuck. And when I listened to the language, I thought, there is nobody there saying, but what about you?
Yes.
What do you want to do?
When I'm told to do things by somebody who's in a supposed authority, I will not do it. It's the rebel in me. I've left jobs purely because someone's not asked me, they've told me. Like, right, that's it, that's our relationship done, sorry.
Yeah, and the shame then that's associated with it, if you do think, well, actually it's time for me to go. And she left them stuck, and the shame with that. So it's so much in our culture,
And Mary, I'm wondering, are they really stuck with you leaving?
Oh no, that's not even a question at all, Martina.
It's that projection from them onto you.
Absolutely.
Will you be missed? By all means, and they will find ways to get on.
Yes.
Right? And also you stepping it up and say, thanks guys, really appreciate your concern and everything, but I've got a life to live. Just imagine, it's almost like talking language to them. I was like, what? Thanks very much for your concerns.
It was like that. I just said, I feel the time is right. And it was like, what? The time is right? How could the time be right? But it was so interesting to see other people's reactions, and people who weren't even involved with that job, that were just listening to the fact that I might be going. It was just so interesting to see it there in motion, in action, right in my face. There was no need for me to say anything though, because I'm okay.
And the interesting thing will be, once you've actually left, we'll give it a couple of months, how many others will leave?
Well, that's a good thing to observe.
Absolutely, because
sometimes we're just passing through, and we just raising the frequency and setting out the tone for. I'll tell you a funny story about that.
Yeah.
So when I was in prison, I was actually doing healings on people, and there was a few people in there that I was doing light language as well, and I could see sort of like when I closed my eyes at night, I could see the lights, and the lights that were turning on in people. I could almost see it like in each cell, and I could really had a feeling that I was creating something, and then just before I was released, this big influx of these guys came in where they'd had an outdoor rave, and this outdoor rave had been busted by the police, and the judge really wanted to make an example of these, so he gives some quite harsh sentences to people who, it was just not a riot, but it was just a brawl of sorts. But all of a sudden, from having all of these hardcore murderers and people like that, the wing was filled with all of these ravers, people with dreadlocks and whatnot and things. And I remember just thinking, I'm sure I played a part in this, because I got on with each one of them just before I was released. And then after I was released, there was a riot 2 days afterwards.
Wow.
It's funny. We are shining lights. Those of us that are are able to beat off the entities, beat off that kind of control, and be in our heart. We broadcast that, and it attracts more light. It wakes people up.
And Maty, what actually would be a nice idea for yourself to link into that at some stage, and really acknowledge the work that you've done there, and how many lives you have changed, seen and unseen, by being in prison for however long you were.
It felt like a resolution for me, a big resolution. And it was also a test of faith because I was never in danger, ever. And it was my greatest fear, always going to prison, because I always said to myself, I can't see myself going through my whole life without ever at least once going to jail. You know, I didn't, you know, and it,
well manifested.
yeah, you know, so John, yeah, tick, not doing that again, thank you very much. But yeah, it was really like I felt safe. I used to go to bed at night, do my prayers, put my hand on my heart, and I could just feel that I was safe, you know. And it just, yeah, it's amazing how we carry this with us. And it's very easy when we're in our homes and we're in our safe space to not really appreciate the strength that we have, the inner strength that we do have. And you see that when you go out into the world and meet with these people who just want to project onto you. And it's just like, you know, you just have a force field to it, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
It must come off callous to them sometimes.
But say that again.
I say it must come off callous to other people sometimes, you know, that don't understand the spiritual journey. It must just seem callous and cold, which is certainly not meant that way.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, you know, we're not responsible what other people perceive, feel, think, you know, this, you know.
I had another question I wanted to ask you guys. You know, I had a session with Andrew and I started transcribing it, you know, and it took me halfway through, it took me, I guess about 10 hours to do 20 minutes. I'm not kidding, 20, so effing slow. And I would get so mad. You know, I was sitting here going, why am I so mad? And I'd get up and I'd get M&Ms, you know, or something. I had to eat like years ago when I was at work. I had to have a huge bag of them and stuff them in so I would sit still. And I was just so mad. And I thought, what are you mad? This is wonderful. This is a beautiful thing. So I want to ask you guys, I know I'm supposed to be transcribing, but I want to listen and I want to keep really listening. And for me to sit and take, you know, for 20 minutes to do 10 hours of sitting there, that's not a very good expensive time to me. So, but yeah, right? What's time? I just said the word time. Yeah, so, but anyway, I wonder what you guys think about that.
I'll tell you what, Dawn, I think you should most definitely transcribe it. And what I do with Andrew's stuff, because I've spoken to Andrew a few times, I've been very fortunate. And I always transcribe everything that he says to me specifically, because there are layers of information there that you just don't hear when you listen to it one or two times. I would transcribe and also listen to multiple times. And then after another sort of 6 months, listen to it again and then read through the transcript. But if you're having trouble with the transcript, then there's some sort of energy that needs to go on there. And Andrew's words are not just words. They don't just have meanings to you, the I am. They have an energetic healing behind them as well. So if you're finding those blockages, I would say it's absolutely, you know, imperative that you do work through it and get that piece of work done. Even if you just do 20 minutes a day until it's complete. Even if it takes
excellent. I'll do it. Yeah. I'll do it.
And maybe try and focus on the main points, because I find it very slow as well, transcribing. But I think I start processing when I start transcribing and it slows me down.
That could be, yeah, yes. Mary, that may be it.
It's amazing how much of this information you miss. Yeah. You know, it's absolutely amazing. You know, you have a conversation with him and it can be something quite simple as well, quite basic for him. And you think you've come away with the memory of it, but then when you listen to it again, you're like, oh, holy shit, I missed that bit there. That's important.
Yeah.
You know?
I have been listening to it. I almost listen every night to it again. And I did want to tell you guys something so cool about, because last week we did the thing about I had some kind of entity. And there was a place in the tape when I'm listening to it, when Andrew actually pinned the entity down with almost a pin, and it went rah, like that. I could hear that on the tape.
Wow.
And it actually fucking scared the shit out of me when I heard it. I went like, oh my God. And so I took the tape. And I have a fire circle where I do ceremonies all the time. And I took it there and I read it out loud. Like, with all my power. I read through it, I listened to it again, and I heard it, and I read it, and I said it, and you know, there's a little peak there now, but it's still a little peak, but it's not what it was. So I just want to thank you guys, because you really supported me a lot. And
beautiful.
Dawn,
Beautiful.
What you should do, right, to seal the deal is do some alchemy, some sort of alchemy, you know, anything from ancestral soups to brewing alcohol, some sort of alchemy that really sets your sacred space, and then bosh, you know, once they won't be able to come anywhere near you once you've done that. All the revocation, you can fill up the prayer, you know.
I love what you said about the alcohol, and I did bring a bottle of it, and I'm carrying it around to where I'm doing prayers in the house.
Good.
And my husband's going like, "What are you drinking that everywhere? What is this?" No, honey, it's holy. It's holy, sacred.
Yeah, you get all the revocations. Yeah, that's right. That's it. And if you take it with you everywhere, every ceremony you have, put it next to you when you sleep. Take it, you know, if you have a really good salt bath, and you take it with you, and over you know, weeks, months, and years, these things just build and build, and they actually are inhibited by angelic energies.
Yes, I feel
imagine
that.
if you brewed a great big huge like 25 liters of beer, strong beer or wine.
Yeah.
And over three months, you know, through an equinox or a solstice, you put as many revocations and prayers as you can into it, you know, over and over and over and over and over. So you can bottle it up once it's done, and then keep the bottles together. And you keep all that prayer going into it. And then when it's had about 20 hours of prayer, then you just set it out all around your house in like a grid. 4 corners of your property, 4 corners of your house, 4 corners upstairs, and then 4 bottles in the room where you sleep.
Wow.
And that's an actual alive being that's protecting your home. I also bury some in the ground as an offering to the ancestors. That's not yours anymore. But that kind of alchemy absolutely seals the deal on those kind of things, and you'll definitely feel the benefit of that process.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's beautiful.
Fabulous. I just want to add something to this, Dawn, what Maty said and everybody else said with persevering. I'd say, yes, get yourself another bag of M&Ms, as many as it takes. Persevere, you know, and really persevere, and you know, do it in small increments. Don't give up, because what you're doing is, by writing it out, typing it out, writing it out, you're bringing it through the body.
That's true.
Through the body. And the other thing you can do too, you could actually even, once you've written it out, then you can record it and listen to it in your own voice.
Oh, that's super. I love that idea.
To really bring everything in.
That's so, you know, I feel like what this resistance thing and eating the M&Ms, that's what I worked as a reporter and an editor. Editor in this boring pharmaceutical medical thing. And I feel like when I'm sitting there doing that, it's bringing up that stuff.
Okay.
You know, so I need to bring that up and put it in a thing or something where I can clean that.
Dawn, I've got something to say. Dawn, so when you know, so it's obviously an old routine that's taken you back to something of your past. Now, I was going to say, you know, M&Ms, right? So that's manufactured. It's been through all kinds of factory process and all kinds of things. Now,
I didn't actually eat them. I'll say I used to, but I didn't. I don't have any now, but I would have if I had them.
While we're talking about alchemy, imagine if you've got a bowl full of fruit, which is alive, the same as the beer is, the alcohol. You've got a nice bowl of fruit, and you put some prayer into that fruit, and you cleared the energy from it, and then you said to it, right, please give me all the energy I need to go into no time and to complete this work for my own evolution and process. Now, if you did that, then you might find, you know.
And set a shorter time, I think, Dawn, for the translation as well. Just say to yourself, I'm going to work with this for 20 minutes. Now, if you go over that, that's fine. That's choice. Yeah. But if you just set a shorter time, it's more manageable, because when you see the length of it and you think, because I know the feeling, I really do.
I kept feeling like, and I noticed, I was judging myself. You're not fast enough. And it felt like work. It's just like back at work again,
exactly what it feels like to me too. It's like back at work and typing, and it's like, oh, there is something on Google Drive. There's some sort of an app. I don't know how to use it.
Oh, I
That's
had that
right.
once.
You can actually speak to the computer and it types what you're speaking. Now
I had one of those. Yeah.
yeah,
That's cheating.
wow.
No cheating. No
Yeah.
cheating.
that's
No
cheating.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Yeah, I
Okay.
tried that.
But
I don't know how to use it.
What's it?
Emma,
Google Drive,
Emma,
you say?
my daughter does it. Yeah. No, it's no, in this particular case, it's cheating. It's not.
Okay, I know you have to do the typing and let it process through you. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But tell us, would you like to do a clearing on this editor thing? She's still there.
She's
Yeah, sure.
So tell me a little bit more what's going on with this editor thing. So you used to be an editor?
Yeah, this last job I had was it was working for a medical marketing company who helped pharmaceutical companies. So my job was to, that was my job, to read that stuff, to edit it, and I feel like I've fallen in a dark hole just even talking about it. It was so depressing and such an awful, but I had insurance, I had a kid to take care of, so I had to work and.
Okay, so let's do something. Let's just take that heavy energy here. Okay?
Yeah.
And let's use that energy that you perceived being down in inner earth, the one you created, the rainbows and all of that. And let's take that energy, this heavy energy, and put that actually into the fire, into that fire that we had in the inner.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Good. And then just perceive now how those rainbow colors and the rainbow is just transmuting all that old energy. And it's just turning it actually turns it into a sparkling energy, into an inspirational energy of dreams and you.
Oh, yeah.
You're typing like a mofo. Oh my God, yeah, I'm just translating,
oh, wow.
It's also good. And the fingers are typing faster and faster and faster. And all those decisions, judgments, conclusions, computations, projections, expectations that you still carry in your field, from days where you used to be that old editor that you are no longer, where you had to translate things that you probably weren't really in accordance, with what this was about, all these energies. Are you willing now to destroy and uncreate those?
Yes.
Yes. So let's do that, and just perceive how you're doing this now, and all the lifetimes. All these lifetimes where you were an editor, where you were transcribing, where you were actually working with an information that did not resonate with you, but you did it because you needed to make money, you needed to support your family. In this lifetime, other lifetimes, dimensions, time streams, galaxies, universes, can we now destroy and uncreate all that? Yeah. Okay. And then all the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, commitments, contracts, binding, bonding that you still have with these people that you worked for in this lifetime, other lifetimes, dimension, time streams. Can we now pull those cords, revoke, recant, rescind, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Yes. I can see like my guide just like cutting.
Okay, cool. Good. So can you guys perceive, are there still any energies that are hanging around her that we need to clear? What you got? Is there anything that comes up for you, Dawn, that is still there that you want to clear? Or are we done?
I see myself, I was a reporter and tape decks had just come in and I started trying to tape everyone I talked to. And I was so frustrated because I would sit and try to write down everything they had said and I couldn't get my story written. I had way too much information.
Okay, so all that information that is still stuck in your cells, all the responders, yeah, the retainers that are still retaining that information in your cells, are you now willing to send those back to those people?
Oh, yeah.
Send them back to those people with consciousness attached. That's it.
Yeah.
You're sending it with consciousness attached, so you're sending awareness to them, you know, and it's no longer in your field.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All your 9 bodies, get it out of there, clear it all off. Good. And then close any of those holes. Use that rainbow energy that we all shared with in the inner earth to close those holes, to fill yourself up. Take that rainbow energy from the crown all the way into along the spine, along the vagus nerve, all the way down into the tailbone, out through those feet, through the holes, into the inner earth, into the earth. Connect to the earth, and let that go. How does that feel? Is there still something there, or is it gone?
Just feel empty.
Good, good. So we don't necessarily need to fill that empty space because it's not required. It's really empty. It's full of new possibilities. So look at that. We say it's empty because it's empty of shit, but what if it now, as you keep going, start to acknowledge all those infinite possibilities that you didn't see before because it was blocked by that?
Yes.
So those infinite possibilities come in whenever they are ready and when you are ready to receive them. So it's not really important to block it all up.
Oh, that feels very good. Thank you for that.
Cool. Okay, so next week, we want to hear that you have done another 20 minutes, 20 words in 5 hours.
With no M&Ms at all.
No M&Ms. Just
some fruit.
Lovely.
I'm bringing some fruit.
Absolutely.
It's bloody hard work, though, isn't it? It really is.
It is.
You know, sometimes
It seems that way.
I've got three children living at home, and just to do my daily meditations and things I need to do. When it comes to like there's a show that Andrew says, and I know there's some information that I have to write down, and I don't even get halfway through it before he's done another 3 videos of the same caliber. I'm like, I just lose this information. I just don't have the time for it, man. I know what it's like. It is. It's hard.
Yeah. So by no means we're not laughing about you. We're laughing with you because we've been there. I transcribe. I'm exactly in the same boat, and also I'm not a native English speaker, so lots of I have to fucking Google first. What the hell does this mean?
I know. I love that you do that. I always do that too. I'm really a big word person. I love to look them up and see the root and everything. Yeah,
exactly.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. So it does take time, and then once you've done it, you have no idea what you actually just transcribed. And
awesome.
You read it and again and again. So it's
and I love what you said about reading it back and then listening to it and all of that. That's going to be really exciting.
And I had my reading in 2014. Now it's like 2020. So this is 6 years ago, and I'm still reading it, and I'm still like, oh my God, I had no idea what that meant.
Wow.
In the show yesterday, I had what I realized because he said to me, one of the sentences was, when you are in the park and you have some people around you and some off-worlders, and I'm like, okay, no idea at the time, they will start understanding each other. You just need, as you walk in the park, the off-worlders will start communicating with the people.
Wow.
This is cool. I like it. No idea how Yesterday in the show, I started understanding it. Having an experience, I thought, oh, this is what it meant.
Wow.
Every sentence can be worth sitting there and transcribing.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys, whoever had sessions with him, will tell you the same thing. And this is not putting him up on the pedestal. It's just what the hell what he does,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's impeccable.
You're processing it as well through the different mediums of ear, eye, and if you say it, voice.
Exactly.
So that's what really, gets it into you. It's not just into your mind, it goes into the cell, and you really embody it. Yeah.
That's so true.
And I'm almost saying, I haven't had any readings for many. It's with every reading, isn't it? Anything that is personal, it's good to transcribe.
Yeah.
and listen to it. The layers are always there.
The importance of
Yeah.
journaling as well. You know, I started journaling for me was something that I found difficult to start because I hated school with a passion, didn't do any of the work, and so writing was always something I avoided. But as I began to write and then get into it, and then I found my flow, I understood that, you know, there'd be some experiences that I would have, and I'm like, right, I need to get that down on paper. And it isn't until I put it down on paper that I've made the manifestation in the reality. So almost like, you know, it's just out there floating around. But once I go boom, 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 that's it. It's manifested
so
reality. It's
Very,
alchemy,
very important. Very important.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So, lovelies, we're going 2 hours. Lovely.
Okay.
So, anyone else who wants to say something, bring it in, connected to Inner Earth, connected to our, you know, lovely communion there. Any questions? Any last statements?
I think we should pay attention to our dreams, and Martina. I think we should, you know, I think we might have some stories to tell in a week or two.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Absolutely, because it is the intention. As you go to bed, make the intention. I did do this the other day, just because, you know, I keep forgetting. But the more often I say to people, the more I'm reminded of doing it myself. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't done that for some time. And I thought of 2 things, and I did exactly dream on it.
Really?
So Inner Earth, let's see who we're going to meet, what's going on. You all know you're in a sovereign space, you know, and things like that. And then let each other know, you know, it's because it's so exciting. It's so, that type of sharing is so exciting. You have permission. I give you my permission. Can I have your permissions too, so that we can do this?
Yes.
Of course, let's go create.
I know oversharing is also is not great either. But if we have permission, if we give each other permission to do this, then it comes from an inspirational space.
Yes.
And
So
also,
can I ask you again, did you just think of 2 things before you slept and then you dreamt of them? Is that what you
yes,
said?
what I did was I took one of the reading actually I had with him, and I thought, okay, so what haven't I not focused on yet? You know,
Okay.
there was 2 things, which of course I can't remember at this stage, but there was 2. Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, food something with off-worlders and clothing, you know.
Okay.
I
Right.
should focus on food and clothing with off-worlders to get some cultural exchanges.
Okay.
And literally, the most gorgeous lady walked in my dream, and she was all in silver and, you know,
Oh.
like an off-worlder, but, you know, they look like normal people too, right? But she was just, and when I woke up, I didn't really pay attention. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I put down clothing.
Yes.
I haven't really figured out why she came in, but I think it was just like, hey, yes, I'm here. Look at me. I'm looking good, eh? Do you like my outfit? That type of stuff. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a bit otherworldly.
Yes.
Huh?
We only remember these parts of the dreams, you know, and sometimes it's just those parts that are the confirmation. You're like, oh, instantly, you know, yeah, that was that particular issue, and you don't have full memory of all of the conversations, but you know that interactions happen. You know, it's beautiful. And sometimes when I have those, I sometimes wake up, and it's like you wake up and you just instinctively know that something must be done. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or you think
Yeah.
something synchronistic and you're like, oh, I can relate it to the dream, even though you can't say exactly what happened in the dream.
Yeah.
You just have that knowingness.
Yes.
Mm.
And sometimes you wake up and like this chick walking down the stairs in this parking lot for some reason with her outfit. I have no idea yet. That happened, I think, over 2 weeks ago, but she's still here.
Yeah.
She will come through at some stage and tell me, this is what you know?
Mm.
Don't get hung up if you don't get the immediate action to it or the immediate representation.
Well, they're not in time like we are, so it's, you know.
Say again?
Wait as long as they need to.
Yeah, just let it linger. I mean, she's here. Maybe she just wanted to come in and say, hey, I'm here with you. So let's do this together.
Yes.
I'm getting here. She just say, hey, be glamorous, not like this. Okay, get it. Yeah.
Hey guys, I've got to shoot. My battery's just about to run out.
Okay. So hold on. Thank you very much, all of you, for coming on and for staying on. So this is always a good thing when they stay on. Thanks for being here. And we're going to put the audio on and we see you next week. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank
Bye.
you. It's been
Bye.
wonderful. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.